Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, as it's day one of back-to-back days of pro wrestling goodness. So, today I'll be covering TNA Wrestling and AEW Collision. Sorry, no SmackDown or Rampage. I had some unexpected plans, which turned out to be fun. We're gonna cover just these two shows today. Then tomorrow will be my review for TNA Sacrifice, which was a very interesting show. I'll give you my thoughts on it tomorrow. So today, we're gonna start off with TNA Wrestling, Cross the Line. I love that line. And we start off with a goodie, as its X Division champion, Mustafa Ali, taking on Kevin Knight. Now, if you haven't seen Kevin Knight, he fits the X Division perfectly. Like, this dude flying around the ring at 100 miles per hour was just... Watching it is, like, indescribable. It's like seeing Petey Williams do the Canadian Destroyer for the first time. And this match, oh boy, they kept up with one another really, really well, including a crazy-looking tornado DDT from the top rope. About halfway through, I'd say, the Good Hands come out. They're at least for now, the minions for Mustafa Ali. But that brings out the rest of the six-man tag, Chris Sabin and Kushida, to fight off the Good Hands. So then Ali, who was actually up at the top rope, misses a 450 splash. Kevin Knight with a crazy sky high, but that only gets a 2 count. Then in the corner, you see John Skyler holding the X Division title, looking like he was going to hit Kevin Knight with it. Then Chris Sabin grabs it. They kind of tug of war with it for a little bit. Then Ali drop kicks Chris Sabin. Both men fall to the floor. And then with the ref distracted, Mustafa Ali with the belt shot to Kevin Knight to pick up the victory. And then post-match, Good Hands and Ali take out Kevin Knight, including a 450 to Knight's arm. So, will that impact... will that impact Sacrifice? Time will tell. As out to... a little late to make the save is Alex Shelley. So, we'll see what happens there. We then get a very nice hype video for Xia Brookside, Tasha Steele, and Jordynne Grace for Sacrifice. Then we go back to the trainer's office. Time Machine are checking on Kevin Knight. Looks like he is not cleared to compete. So, with the trainer telling him, you're going to need more than ice. You're not cleared to compete. And then Sabin's like, yeah, we're going to take it from here. Then Shelley chimes in. He's like, yeah, I want to be there for my friends. Then Sabin chimes in and is like, look, at No Surrender, I needed you in my corner. But you guys are keeping acting like you don't want a team. So now I'm going to go to Santino and get a Time Splitters reunion for tonight. So that's going to be an interesting little matchup. Little dissension in the ranks for the Guns. We'll check on that later. Next up, it's the second ever TNA match of Ash by Elegance as she takes on Angel Blue, who is Loco Yoko. And at first, it was an Ash by Elegance beatdown, Blue does get some stuff in, but ultimately, Ash by Elegance wins via the rarefied air, which is a big old moonsault. So, nice little, quick little matchup. Then we get a Steve Maclin promo, but he's not in the ring, he's not backstage, he's in his hotel room. And he's mocking Nick Nemeth, saying, like, he says he wants to work his way up the ladder here in TNA, but I show up here every day, I put in the work, and where's Nick? In Puerto Rico, I put the fear of God in you, and I don't live that double standard life. Nick, I'll see you at Sacrifice. Then Steve Maclin hears a little knock at the door. He gets up to answer. It looks like he gets beaten down, but we don't really get to see it because the camera kind of cuts out. But then it cuts back in. We see Maclin passed out on the ground. And who comes into frame? It's Nick Nemeth, baby. So he's in the building. He's ready to go for Sacrifice. Next up, we got the Good Hands in tag team action. That's John Schuyler and Jason Hawk, taking on Kushida and Alex Shelley of the Time Splitters. And the interesting thing here is, Kushida kind of wants to do his entrance, get the pomp and circumstances. Shelley just wants to get in the ring. Like, he just wants to take care of business and show that Time Machine can still work together. And at first they do at times. Shelley definitely tags himself in a couple of times here and there. A lot of really, really good back and forth, including a very interesting little finish that has a crossbody. Alex Shelley with an amazing Pele kick. Kushida with a Tanaka punch, an atomic drop into a drop kick. Good Hands try to fight back a little bit. They look to hit the Favor, which is a great name for a finisher name, but that gets countered. And then Kushida with the hoverboard lock for the tap out. So your winners, the Time Splitters. And while they did win, again, more dissension in the ranks, which we'll see what happens there. Then we go to kind of an in-the-field black and white promo from Dango, who is, hyping up his team with Oleg Prudius, saying they're going to dominate the whole tag division. And we're going to go down in TNA Hall of Fame as the greatest tag team ever. And we're not just doing it here in TNA. We're going to other markets and wrestling everyone with 1 year of experience. We're going to shoot up the rankings. And we don't have to fight forever. And see, I'm in the main event tonight. And then he plugs his wrestling school, which, that's funny. And then he ends it saying, tough guys don't need a catchphrase. And we're going to do what we do. Then we get a nice little backstage promo from Ali. He's talking to the Good Hands. Ali saying, yeah, I'm underestimated here. It's time for me to refocus on Sacrifice. And while I do appreciate you guys donated your time to the cause, the grizzled young veterans are better suited in this situation. So, Ali has recruited the grizzled young veterans for Sacrifice. We're getting the grizzled young veterans versus the Motor City Machine Guns. Yes, please. Yes, please. And then you see, Schuyler and Hawk looking a little rejected. But I think that might play into what's coming. Next up, we got Masha Slamovich taking on Dani Luna, which is announced that MK Ultra are defending against Luna and Threat at Sacrifice for the Knockouts Tag Team titles. And this, while a really quick match, it was also a really good match. Like Masha Slamovich kind of dominating a little bit, but Dani Luna matching her power and her finesse, including a big old blue thunder bomb, which that was impressive. But that only goes for 2. Luna goes for Luna landing, but that gets blocked. Masha Slamovich tries for the snowplow, that gets blocked. Leg sweep by Luna, right into the roll-up for the 2. Then Luna heats a big old super kick. She fires back with an elbow. Finally hits Luna landing to pick up the victory. Maybe a sign of things to come for Luna and Threat. You'll have to wait and see. And next up, we got the big old squash match. Alan Angels taking on PCO. And while Angels did try for a quick start, PCO pretty much dominated, including a clothesline, chokeslam, PCO assault to pick up the win. Then out from, I guess it's the ramp or whatever, Khan comes in, he has a chair, tries to hit PCO with it, he misses. PCO with the hip toss. Khan grabs the chair again. He sets it up in the middle of the ring, sits Angels in it, and does the neck snap to Angels. He then get a chair duel by PCO and Khan, in which PCO fights back, overpowers Khan, and they brawl to the back, setting up their no DQ match for Sacrifice, which we'll get to that one. We then go backstage for a Crazy Steve promo, the current digital media title. Pretty much starting off, who I am is an inevitable. What I am, that's a bit more complicated. I'm a teacher. I'm a destroyer. I'm a champion. And each time I'm in the ring, this title gets defended. And Laredo Kid, the story of your life will be in your death. Originally at Sacrifice, Crazy Steve was supposed to take on Laredo Kid, but Laredo Kid had some travel issues, so he defended against Joe Hendry instead. We'll kind of go over that tomorrow. We then get a nice, really, really good in-ring promo by Eric Young, who I honestly forgot how really good Eric Young is at these. He's saying, Sacrifice isn't just the name of an event. For me, it's a way of life. I've given everything I can to TNA. I owe everything to this promotion. And what I desire most, Moose, you're holding it. And while I can't guarantee a victory, I'll guarantee this. I'll keep coming for it. I'm one of the best to ever do it. You may beat me down so bad, but the dead don't get deader, and at Sacrifice, I play for keeps. Which, great line by Eric Young. And yeah, we'll get to that in a minute, as this brings out the TNA World Champion, Moose, who pretty much says, look, Eric, you truly are a world-class maniac. But do you believe all the BS you're spouting? And while you've been in TNA for a long time, at Sacrifice, your time is over. I'm going to bring my all, and the outcome will be the same. I've done my homework. You're the man who loves to fight. I also like a good fight. So how about this? Instead of waiting for our match tomorrow, let's do this right here, right now, in a street fight. So Eric Young is kind of taking off his jacket, so is Moose. Moose gets 2 steps up the ring steps, but then backs off. And he says, that's not how the system works. And that brings out Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards, who jump Eric Young from behind, finishing off with a spear from Moose. Then Alicia Edwards comes out. She has the chain. Moose wraps it around his body and hits a spear. And before any more damage could be done to Eli, out comes the ABC to make the save. And they run off the system. So, I'm going to say this. We need to stop underestimating Eric Young. He should be among the best of the best. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts with this. And our surprise main event of the evening as Dirty Dango takes on Josh Alexander. And I'm going to say this. This is easily Dango's best match in pretty much any promotion. He went hold for hold with Josh Alexander the entire way, including getting out of a couple of ankle locks, which is crazy. Hits a Falcon Arrow. Hits a Down and Dirty, in which Josh accidentally moves out of the way. Hits a couple of suplexes for a 2 count. Near the end of the match, Brutus grabs Josh Alexander's leg, with Dango hitting a big old DDT. Tries for the Down and Dirty, that gets caught, in which Alexander transitions right into an ankle lock for a submission victory. And oh boy, that was, like I said, this was Dango's best match, like, ever. It was great. I'm going to say, if you haven't seen it, go out and give it a watch, because it was excellent. So, that's it for TNA Wrestling. We now move into AEW Collision, in which we start off with a very surprising match as Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, takes on Shane Taylor. And apparently, they had a match in the past in which Shane Taylor legitimately knocked out Danielson. I don't know if this was in AEW or, like, kind of early Ring of Honor. Like, I don't know. I'm going to have to look back at that. This match was absolutely awesome. A nice, exciting way to kick off the show. With Shane Taylor using his power over the finesse of Danielson, who near the end whiffed on a Busaiku knee. But then he gets out of whatever Shane Taylor was going to do. Hits a couple of yes kicks into the Busaiku knee to pick up the victory. And as Danielson celebrating, we get the Collision debut of Will Ospreay, who is just off his match with Kyle Fletcher. He gets on a microphone. He pretty much praises Danielson. One more quality match from the Dragon. And he's continuing to praise Danielson. Can't believe you're still going at this high a level. I've noticed a lot of things in AEW. Catering is absolutely excellent, which definitely a very funny line. And then he says, it's more than obvious you're the bar here set at AEW. Your enthusiasm for wrestling is infectious. So I want to thank you for everything you've done for the wrestling business. But you slag, which British term, I don't fully understand it, but that's a great line. You interrupted me after my main event on Dynamite, and it's more than obvious you have something you want to say to me. Danielson then gets on a microphone himself. He says, you're only half right. I want to tell you something, but then I also want to ask you something. First, I want to tell you, welcome to AEW. Second, I saw your match with Takeshita. It's one of the best matches I've ever seen. And how he's the best in the world and came to prove it. And I want to give you that chance. So how about it? You versus me at AEW Dynasty. With Ospreay answering, yes, bruv. Oh my goodness. Like, if you're not excited for this match, you need to check your freaking pulse. These are the two of the best wrestlers on planet Earth, and they're going to have a match. I mean, yeah, it's their third match in the series, but, you know, this is easily going to be their best. Oh, I can't wait for it. This next matchup is actually a trios match, and it features the new Elite, which is Nicholas Jackson, Matthew Jackson, and AEW's newest signing, Kazuchika Okada, which is absolutely insane for me to think. Nicholas and Matthew actually make their entrances separate from Okada, from when Young Bucks are on the stage. I think it was Nicholas pulling out a huge novelty coin, flipping it, and that brings out Okada, which is crazy. And they take on 3 local yokels, in which Nicholas and Cruz start off, but then Okada's like, nah, tag me in. So, tag in, and Okada just dominates. And while the other members of the team try to tag in, get one over on Okada, it does not work. And then after a big old rainmaker, your winners, the Elite. Now, post-match is where things get interesting. Because Eddie Kingston comes out, he tries to get one over on Okada. But of course the numbers game are too much. That brings out Pentagon Azero Miedo. But like Kingston, Pentagon gets over. While he does come out with like a house of fire, the numbers are too much. The Elite beat him down. The Bucks going for a BTE trigger when out comes the bastard named Pac. And it's so good to see him back. He takes out both Young Bucks and goes nose to nose with Okada, in which, oh boy, yes please. And then Pac looks to attack Okada. Young Bucks pull him out of the ring. They're going up the ramp. Pac then gets a microphone. He says, well, look at here. The bastard's back. And while you guys are looking for trouble, you're barking up the right tree. You reap what you sow. And I'm back for you. Then Eddie Kingston quickly gets on the mic, says, alright, next week, big business, 6-man tag, see you there, Elite. And what felt a little rushed, but it felt right into the character of Eddie Kingston, who just wants to fight. And I'm gonna say this: Okada versus Eddie Kingston, Okada versus Penta, and now Okada versus Pac is set up. Yes, yes, yes. Those are gonna be awesome.
Should be early afternoon, like 12 o'clock.
Our next matchup is women's action, as we get Mariah May, who is pretty much adopted the outfit, mannerisms, and music of Toni Storm's old TNA AEW gimmick, as she takes on Trish Adora. And while this was the Mariah May showcase, Trish Adora definitely got some good stuff in, trying for a big submission victory, but Mariah gets out of it, hits the Mayday for the win. We then go up the ramp. Out comes Toni Storm. She's presenting the first ever Tony Awards, Tony with an I so we don't get sued, and it's for the greatest women's wrestler to ever impersonate Toni Storm. And our nominees are Mariah May, and that's it. And the award goes to Mariah May. So that's very nice, very funny. Toni Storm takes off her whatever shoe it is, walking up the ramp, presenting it like an award. But before she could get there, Deonna Purrazzo jumps Toni Storm on the ramp. Then Mariah May comes in, saving Toni Storm, with Storm and May teaming up to take out Purrazzo. And then May with a wicked DDT on the ramp. That looked like it hurt. So yeah, it looks like this feud is going on. We then get a nice little hype video for Willow Nightingale versus Riho for Big Business, which that should be a really good matchup. Then we get another kind of squash match, but if that's okay, as it's Sick Nick Wayne taking on Adam Priest. Who, I do know Adam Priest. I've seen him a couple times. He's really good. Nick Wayne pretty much dominates early on, but then Priest tries to come in, do some damage. Nick Wayne with a big old enziguri to the inside of the ring, hitting the Wayne's World to pick up the victory. And then you see ringside, Christian Cage is kind of looking over the fans. There's some person in a luchador mask with I'm not 100% sure what kind of sign it was. A lot of people are saying it's a Mariah May sign, but I didn't really get a good look at it. Cage takes it, rips it up, but then the fan drags Cage over the ramp, over the guardrail, starts beating him down, and then hits a big old crossbody on Kill Switch and Nick Wayne, and then the fan takes off the mask. It's a returning Adam Copeland, which that is great. Then they get back to ringside in the ring, and then Copeland has a box or something. A lot of people are saying it's like a spiked bat, which I didn't really get a good look at it, so I'm not sure. So, as Copeland is opening it, Cage calls off his crew, and then Copeland gets on the microphone. He's saying, Cage, get yourself ready to say 2 words, I quit. And at Big Business, I'm taking everything from you. So, nice little short and sweet promo. I guess we'll see if he uses that bat. Next, we go backstage Mark Briscoe and Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, they're talking some stuff out, with Jeff saying Saturday night is an okay night for fighting. Then Jay Lethal interrupts, yeah, but can we trust each other? Jeff pretty much says, you don't have to trust me, Mark, but you can trust me to win this match and to beat down the House of Black. Mark's like, alright, I trust you guys. Let's get out there and win it. Let's go to war. We then go to a very weird matchup as it's Chris Jericho taking on CMLL's Titan. Now, from what I heard from commentary, obviously this isn't the original Titan, but Jericho and the original Titan did have some interactions in CMLL back in the day. So, he's taking on this new guy, which it is a interesting match. Like, Titan definitely gets some good stuff in. He's going move for move with Jericho, including getting out of the way of Jericho's, like, top rope clothesline move, which is interesting. But eventually Chris Jericho wins via the Lion Tamer, which, a decent little match, but I don't know, I'm kind of getting tired of Jericho. Post-match, you got the Gates of Agony jumping Jericho. They're putting the boots to him. Then out comes Hook to make the save, and he's got a big old kendo stick. And we've got tag team action for Big Business as Hook and Chris Jericho take on the Gates of Agony. So, next up, we got an interview with FTR saying, this Sunday at Revolution, things didn't go the way we wanted, but hey, that's life. Life knocks you down and kicks you while you're down, and all we can do is get up and keep going. So, what's next for FTR? We got the tag team title tournament coming, and we're officially throwing our name in to the hat. Collision was obviously built on tag team wrestling, whether it's us versus the House of Black, us versus Bullet Club Gold, and so on and so forth. It's easy to say we will win the tag team titles, but we're not liars. FTR hasn't been firing at all cylinders, and if you'll have us, we're going to give it our all in this tournament. Until then, we will do our best to become 3-time tag team champions. Then out comes a very interesting team, a team I don't think has been on AEW TV in a while. It's Carly Bravo and Sean Dean, the Infantry, who have been a solid tag team act in Ring of Honor, along with Trish Adora. They come out to the ring and they're kind of working heel, which, interesting. Saying, like, putting themselves over a little bit. And saying we're in Atlanta. Facts are facts. We didn't make it, originally didn't make it here on time, but we're going to keep it real. The reason we're out here is we respect the heck out of you guys. And if we face each other in the tournament, the best team will win. And then we get a comment from the Interesting about a revival in the tag team division. Ooh. Little shots fired at FTR because that was their tag name in the WWE. Then Dax Harwood hears that. He says, Revival has been dead for years. Long live FTR. We're going to beat each other up in the tag tournament. And if we see you, we're going to take you down. Which, nice little interesting promo from FTR. We'll see where it goes. Next, we got a nice little hype video for Big Business, in which I am so excited. This is like pay-per-view level hype. Like, this is great. Then we get a very, very interesting matchup as CMLL's Mystico takes on Angelico, another man who has been kind of floating around Ring of Honor. And this match, oh boy, this match was a whole lot of fun. Both guys doing their best with the good lucha moves. But ultimately, after a La Mystica, your winner is Mystico. Now, post-match, Mystico goes for the handshake with Angelico, but Serpentico, who is Angelico's tag partner, he's like, no, don't do this. We need to get out of here. But Angelico turns to Mystico. They shake hands. So, nice show of respect. And it was definitely a fun matchup. We then go to the Atlanta Street Fight match between the House of Black, being represented by Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, and Brody King, taking on Mark Briscoe, Jay Lethal, and Jeff Jarrett. In which this was the big plunder match, which was great. They used tables, chairs. I don't think they used tacks, but they did use a flaming table, in which, we'll get there in a minute. Because at one point, we saw Brody King hit a big old crossbody through Jay Lethal into a table set up on the barricade. Then as House of Black were setting up for the flaming table spot the first time, out comes Sanjay Dutt, who hits Brody King with a guitar, but it doesn't break, and he pretty much no-souls it. Buddy Matthews chases him up the ramp, but then Sanjay goes face-to-face with Julia Hart, who kicks him right in the stomach, and then Matthews, who has, I guess, a little extra lighter fluid, pours it on Sanjay Dutt. Julia Hart was like minutes from lighting him on fire, in which I think that's attempted murder. So, whoever needs to look into that, please look into that. But then, out of nowhere, it was Karen Jarrett who got a very interesting reaction. And she gets in the way between Julia and Sanjay. Julia Hart went then with the mist right to Karen Jarrett. That corrupting mist, in which we'll see where that goes. And we go back to the ring. Brody King gets hit with a massive low blow. Lethal and Mark Briscoe with a nice drop kick, leg sweep combination. Malachi with a big old eye rake. And then Brody King into the dangling off the apron sleeper hold, which that looks terrifying every time he does it. But then Jeff Jarrett comes in, El Capone, Brody King. Then Brody King falls off the apron through a table. Malachi Black with the end. He then gets, I guess, a railroad spike from Julia Hart, in which, that thing looks terrifying. Goes to hit Jeff Jarrett with it. Then Mark Briscoe comes in. Jay Driller. Mark tries for another move. I think he was going for the froggy bow, but Julia Hart grabs Mark's leg. He and Buddy are fighting on the top rope. Buddy then falls onto a table that was set up ringside, goes for a cannonball, that gets caught, and then slammed through the table. Then there's another table on the other side. House of Black finally set it on fire and hit a big old powerbomb on Mark Briscoe through the flaming table. They get Mark Briscoe back in the ring. Pin, 1, 2, 3. Your winners, the House of Black, in a truly chaotic, crazy matchup that was reminiscent of ECW back in the day. And it was so much fun. And I hope Mark is okay, because that flaming table spots are no joke, let me tell you. I've seen more than a couple in my day. So, yeah, that'll do it for me. Overall, very interesting week of pro wrestling as we move on to other events, including we got MLW War Chamber coming up. I believe we got another TNA show, although I think that's after WrestleMania. Because, yeah, next big one, we got WrestleMania. In which I'm thinking maybe later this week, maybe later next week, I'm going to redo my predictions for the card. As we got a lot of new additions to the card, a lot more teases on what's coming. So that should be fun to speculate on. And then this week, I will not be covering Monday Night Raw because I am going out. So that just leaves us with NWA Power, AEW Dynamite, TNA. I'm going to try to cover SmackDown and Rampage. And then AEW Collision, which, ooh, that looks like an absolute stacked lineup. I'm so excited. I hope you guys are too. And until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.